Advaita Goswami, Advaita Goswami, Jagati Prabhu Pai, Chaitanya Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivati Sarvati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Nama Acharya Shri Haridasa Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Maya Ki Yamuna Maya Ki Tulasi Deva Ki Bhakti Deva Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Lord Chaitanya Sri Rama Sankirtanam Ki Madanga Ki Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Go Prema All glorious to the assembled All glorious to the assembled All glorious to the assembled All glorious to Shri Guru and Gurani Krishna Krishna Bhutale Bhakti Yoga Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Vishwadini Namaste Shrimad Is it the official bookmark?
No. It's not supposed to be a bookmark. The Lord.
Where are you reading from?
Adi-Lila 10:131.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaurata
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaurata
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi-Lila, Chapter 10, reading text number 131. I presume it's on the board.
Yes.
On the screen. Kindly repeat. Kashi Mishra,
Kashi Mishra,
Pradyumna Mishra,
Pradyumna Mishra,
Raya Bhavanande,
Raya Bhavananda,
Janhara,
Janhara,
Milane,
Milane,
Prabhu,
Prabhu,
Paila,
Paila,
Ananda,
Ananda,
Kashi Mishra, Pradyumna Mishra, Raya Bhavananda,
Kashi Mishra, Pradyumna Mishra, Raya Bhavananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu Paila Ananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu, Paila, Ananda,
Kashi Mishra Pradyumna Mishra Raya Bhavananda,
Kashi Mishra, Pradyumna Mishra, Raya Bhavananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu Paila Ananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu, Paila, Ananda,
Kashi Mishra Pradyumna Mishra Raya Bhavananda,
Kashi Mishra, Pradyumna Mishra, Raya Bhavananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu Paila Ananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu, Paila, Ananda,
Kashi Mishra Pradyumna Mishra Raya Bhavananda,
Kashi Mishra, Pradyumna Mishra, Raya Bhavananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu Paila Ananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu, Paila, Ananda, Kashi Mishra, Pradyumna Mishra, Raya Bhavananda, Janhara Milane Prabhu, Paila, Ananda,
Kashi Mishra Pradyumna Mishra Raya Bhavananda,
Kashi Mishra, Pradyumna Mishra, Raya Bhavananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu Paila Ananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu, Paila, Ananda,
Kashi Mishra Pradyumna Mishra Raya Bhavananda,
Kashi Mishra Pradyumna Mishra Raya Bhavananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu Paila Ananda,
Janhara Milane Prabhu Paila Ananda,
Kashi Mishra Pradyumna Mishra Raya Bhavananda,
Kashi Mishra, Pradyumna Mishra, Raya
Janhara Milane Prabhu Paila Ananda,
Any ladies?
Kashi Mishra, Pradyumna Mishra, Raya Bhavananda, Janhara Milane Prabhu, Paila, Ananda,
Kashi Mishra,
Kashi Mishra,
of the name Kashi Mishra,
of the name Kashi Mishra,
Pradyumna Mishra,
Pradyumna Mishra,
of the name Pradyumna Mishra,
of the name Pradyumna Mishra,
Bhavananda,
Bhavananda,
of the name Bhavananda Rai,
of the name Bhavananda,
Janhar,
Janhara,
of whom
of whom
Milane,
Milane,
meeting,
meeting,
Prabhu,
Prabhu,
the Lord,
the Lord,
Paila,
Paila,
God,
God,
Ananda,
Ananda,
great pleasure.
great pleasure.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the list of devotees at Jagannath Puri, which begins with Paramananda Puri, Swarup Damodar, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and Gopinathacharya, Kashi Mishra was the fifth. Pradyumna Mishra, the sixth. and Bhavananda Roy the seventh, Lord Chaitanya took great pleasure in meeting with them. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, in Jagannath Puri, Lord Chaitanya lived at the house of Kashi Mishra, who was the priest of the king. Later, this house was inherited by Vakreshvara Pandit, and then by his disciple, Gopala Guru Goswami, who established there a deity of Radha Kanta. The Gora Ganodesha Deepika states that Kashi Mishra was formerly the gopi in Vrindavan named Krishna Vallabha. Pradyumna Mishra, an inhabitant of Orissa, was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Pradyumna Mishra was born of a Brahmana family, and Ramananda Roy of a non-Brahmana family. Yet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised Pradyumna Mishra to take instruction from Ramananda Roy. This incident is described in Adi-Lila chapter 5. Bhavananda Roy was the father of Sri Ramananda Roy. His residence was in Alalanath, Ramagiri, which is about 12 miles west of Jagannath Puri. By caste, he belonged to the Karana community of Orissa, whose members were sometimes known as Kayastas and sometimes as Shudras. But he was the governor of Madras under the control of King Prataparudra of Jagannath Puri. So here we are hearing of some of the innumerable devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he resided in Jagannath Puri. We sometimes hear long lists of the names of these associates. Sometimes we may think it's kind of, maybe not boring, but a little bit, we kind of jump over it. What is its relevance? Well, there are different angles of looking at that. First of all, these devotees are not, as we see here in this particular verse, Kashi Mishra is not an ordinary person. He's a gopi in the spiritual world named Krishna Vallabha. In Krishna's pastimes, he's Krishna Vallabha. Simultaneously, in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, he's Kashi Mishra. We're hearing about the associates of the Lord, his eternal associates. Just to hear their name, we chant the names of Krishna, Radha Krishna, daily, as much as we can. And chanting the names of the associates of the Lord. Well, that was good. Are you practicing or practicing unwinding and winding the curtains? Pardon?
The hearing fell down.
Oh, the earring fell
from
down.
Goranga.
So to hear about the associates of the Lord, to remember the associates of the Lord is, they recommend, of course, that we remember the Lord, but the Lord is more pleased when we remember His associates, when we chant their names practically, although that's not what we're emphasized or told by those associates to do. But nonetheless, chanting their names is very purifying to the point that Bhakti Thakur, he's written one song, I've forgotten the name, it's not in the songbook. But this song is described, I don't know where either, I've read it, but Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj said that this song is the means by which we beat the mind 100 times in the morning with a shoe. The mind is wild, crazy, going all over the place. So by singing this song, which was a song of remembering Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, basically, his eternal associates, they're not ordinary. No devotee is ordinary. They're not devotees who've come through the process of sadhana. We are trying, being ordinary conditioned souls, to try to develop the mood of these eternal associates by practicing devotional service under their shelter. The essential principle of developing pure love of Godhead is to follow in the footsteps of the Lord's eternal associates. That in itself is a subject of great discussion. But in principle, this is the process, which is the process which Srila Prabhupada has given us. If we follow Srila Prabhupada's process, we're following in the footsteps of the Lord's eternal associates. The other day we had sessions on Haridas Thakur. How do we follow in the footsteps of Haridas Thakur? How do you follow in his footsteps, for instance? Anyone suggest how?
Being very serious in our chanting.
Pardon?
Being serious in our chanting.
That's the, you could say, the application methodology. We should try to not just say numerically complete some vow, which of course is nowhere near the quantitative vow of Haridas Thakur. That's one thing Prabhupada says. We can at least do that much. We can at least, Prabhupada has given us minimum 16 rounds japa. That Prabhupada says. We can hardly do that. We struggle with that. In between things, while we're doing things, unconsciously. This is not the process of going back to Godhead exactly, part of it. But this is a cultivation. So in the book, of course, Harinam Chintamani, Haridas Thakur, in this presentation of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's presentation of Haridas Thakur's discussion with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how to properly serve the holy name. how to serve the holy name in a way to evoke the Lord's mercy, and our hearts become cleansed, and love of God develops in our heart as the heart becomes cleansed, purified, by under the direction or under the guidance of a pure devotee. So Haridas Thakur Prabhupada said, at least we may not be able to, we cannot, chant 300,000 names or more daily. It's not within our capacity at this stage. This is unique to Haridas Thakur practically. But we follow the principle of regularly chanting and cultivating pure devotion. It's a topic unto itself. So we follow in their footsteps. They come, they appear to be these eternal associates like Pradyumna Mishra, Kashi Mishra, Mananda Roy, here Bhavananda Roy, and others are mentioned. Previously we heard of Swarup Damodar, Paramananda Puri, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and Gopinathacharya, eternal associates of the Lord. They don't come into this world for any other reason other than to please the Lord. When the Lord appears, of course, they come to assist him in his pastimes. There are two sides, you could say, to this. One, the Lord is relishing pastimes, particularly in Gaur-Lila. He's come to taste the Krishna Prema, the love of Radha, her love, what she's experiencing. And his associates come with him to assist him in this objective goal. Also, simultaneously, the Lord comes or appears with his associates to spread the message of Krishna consciousness. Later on we see Kaviraj Goswami describes how the Lord appears in this world along with his associates to taste Krishna Prema along with the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. In this way, he spreads love of Godhead through congregational chanting even to the untouchables. Such a simple method, you could say. Congregational chanting of the holy name of Krishna. We have no taste, or little taste. We're unfortunate. This is the Yuga Dharma, congregational chanting of the holy name. Everything else, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj has described, sadhana means that which helps us or evokes an attraction for congregational chanting of the holy name. That's what sadhana means. And he describes if our sadhana doesn't do that, it is an impediment, an obstacle on the path of devotion. Congregational chanting is the only infallible means of success. It is the emperor of all sadhana. And of course, every type of service we do, there is a quality, there is an attitude, there is an etiquette to help evoke the attitude. We can get easily, Maharaj was talking yesterday in many ways, of different ways of looking at the general subject of pride or seeing things separately from Krishna, seeing ourselves in the center, whatever you wish to call it. But pride, there is a healthy pride, which Shruti Kirti Prabhu mentioned the other day when Srila Prabhupada said, we're very proud in the sense of the privilege of being able to serve a pure devotee of the Lord. It's a great privilege, great good fortune. But not proud of being the doer. Not proud of my service is better than yours. All service under the direction of the pure eternal associates of the Lord is Sankirtan. It's just varieties of Sankirtan, of spreading the glories of the Lord and assisting the Lord in his inner and outer purposes. And one of his outer purposes, indirectly mentioned here, in the case of Pradyumna Mishra, who was born in a Brahmin family, and Bhavananda Roy and his sons, who are not Brahmanas, they are known generally as Kayasthas, or low class in one sense, although a very qualified branch of family branch, qualified people in terms of administration, experts. But in Vedic culture, depending on what type of administration, what line one's in, is a fine line. And in different places they'll be known differently. As in this case, Kayasthas or low class, sometimes they may be held a little higher, some places in India. But in Orissa they're considered like Kayasthas, almost like Shudras. In Vedic society, persons like now held in high esteem in our society, maybe, like CEOs, maybe not CEOs, I don't know. You know, IT specialists, accountants, engineers, they're all Shudras. Now people aspire for these positions. Hello, Shudra Sambhava. But they're all Shudras, they're all just machines doing what, filling in a gap. They're not leading as such, they're just doing what they're told, more or less. You'll find amongst them, of course, certain elements of leadership are there amongst some of them. But in principle, those activities are Shudra activities. You don't say that in public, people will probably get offended, but there are hardly any Brahmins in society, if any. Prabhupada wanted first and foremost to try to create a Brahminical head on our society, a guide, learned leadership. And then qualified leadership who follows the learned leadership. The Kshatriyas, the rulers of society, they don't just rule because they're Ishvara Bhav, controllers. Not at all. They have to have the qualities. You can see the qualities in Bhagavad Gita of a Kshatriya or the Brahmana, the Vaishya, the Shudra, and so on. They have to possess the qualities. And on the practical side, they have to know what is their duty. Their duty is to facilitate the gradual progress, why gradual? The progress of society towards God consciousness. Otherwise, they're a disturbance in society. And they made Brahmins, of course, if there aren't any Brahmins, but if real Brahmins, they see that the Kshatriya is not performing this duty, facilitating people's progress, then the Brahmins they have the power to remove them. Now there is no such qualified Brahmins, no qualified Kshatriyas. There may be a few, Prabhupada said, a few exploitative Vaishyas, whose only interest is to exploit. And then vast majority should. So what can we expect from such a situation? So we try to follow in the footsteps of these associates of the Lord. Purify. So Pradyumna Mishra is Brahmin. Ramananda Roy, the son of Bhavananda Roy. Lower class, lower caste. Yet, as Prabhupada writes here, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent Pradyumna Mishra, who wanted to hear topics, high topics concerning Krishna. You may remember, who did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hear the highest topics which are revealed, at least in Chaitanya Charitamrita? The highest topics, who did he hear them from? Ramananda Roy. And again we see here, now this is a later pastime with Pradyumna Mishra, this is in Jagannath Puri. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Ramananda Roy on his journey in South India. He went on a journey in South India for various reasons. He gave different answers to different devotees. To some he said he wanted to find out where his brother Vishrup had disappeared from home. Left the body in Pandrapur. The Lord Chaitanya used this as an excuse. And for others, he wanted to preach, I guess, spread Krishna consciousness. But a major aspect of his travels, which was indicated by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, was please meet with Ramananda Roy. Although he's from a lower caste, he's the most elevated Vaishnava. So sure enough, Lord Chaitanya met Ramananda Roy fairly early in his travels. Lord Chaitanya met many great devotees. Vasudeva Vipra, the Kurma Brahmana, Gopal Bhatta, the Bhattas in Rangam, Sri Rangam, and different devotees. Even said he met Tukaram in Maharashtra. Different great devotees. He met them here and there, ignited their devotion or directed their devotion towards Sankirtan and so on. Everywhere he went, he would ignite love of Godhead in people's hearts through Sankirtan. But with Ramananda Roy particularly, more than any other conversation or revealed pastime, the Lord relished the inner objective. Although Ramananda Roy himself was considered from social position of a lower caste, Lord Chaitanya was also from a Brahmana caste, from a material mundane perspective. But he was the hearer and Ramananda Roy was the speaker. The Lord relishes this. Of course, Ramananda Roy is no ordinary person. Prabhupada says here, Bhavananda Roy is also no ordinary person. He says, you are Pandu. Pandu being the father of the Pandavas, Arjuna. Ramananda Roy is also said to be Arjuna in one aspect. You see, the eternal associates of the Lord, they're not ordinary living entities by any means. Shakti Tattvas, they expand. When the Lord himself expands in various forms for various reasons and pastimes, his internal Shaktis, his internal, they're like personified potencies of the Lord, expand into each and every. They don't have to, depending on the pastime, if needed. They also expand in that pastime in various forms. The case of Ramananda Roy is an eternal, it's not exactly an expansion, it's eternal existence. But in general, this is the mood. So Arjuna, well, sometimes we describe the eternal associates of the Lord. They expand into other forms, like Arjuna. And then they may return back into the original form when that particular form of the Lord appears as Krishna or Chaitanya and so on. They may enter into that form, but it's the same person, same personality, fulfilling the Lord's desire in different ways, in different pastimes. In this particular case, Ramananda Roy is said to be Arjuna. He's also a cowboy named Arjuna. He's also sometimes said to be Vishaka, sometimes even said Lalita. You see different statements in different places, but generally Vishaka. So that's quite confusing. Has he got schizophrenia? Split personality? Doesn't know who he is? Who are you? I'm not sure. I'm a coward boy, I'm a gopi, I'm a king. I'm not sure what I am. Well, that's the case of the conditioned soul. Nobody knows who they are. They're completely confused. But they're not. In different situations, that particular aspect of the Lord's internal energy may manifest in when and required. So in this particular case, this is obviously not the mood of Arjuna, or not even the mood of a coward boy. It is the mood of Radharani's most intimate associates, Ramananda Roy. So that's a topic which is extensively revealed in the Adi-Lila. The very elevated souls, they're eternal associates of the Lord, and by hearing their names, by hearing about them, we become purified. And when we hear their teachings, just like Pradyumna Mishra went to Ramananda, no, Ramananda Roy was very unique. Lord Chaitanya said no one can imitate Ramananda Roy, as we cannot imitate Haridas Thakur in chanting, or in his humility. We cannot imitate Ramananda Roy. Who can imitate him? In the universe, Lord Chaitanya said, nobody can imitate him. Even I cannot imitate him, he said. Ramananda Roy alone is completely, I think we heard, maybe it was yesterday, I'm not sure. Now maybe I read it, I can't remember. How Shukadeva Goswami was going naked, practically speaking. Here and there were naked young girls, but he was not at all disturbed, and neither were they. There was no element of sex desire whatsoever. The all-pervading, you could say, of every living entity. Well, it has its Adi-Rasa, its eternal nature. But in this world, it is self-centered. There is no living entity who is not affected by it. Even Lord Brahma. No living entity. But Ramananda Roy isn't. That's incredible. He was one of his activities when he moved. Ramananda Roy left Kuvur. He left there and went to Puri to join Lord Chaitanya on the Mahaprabhu's request. So the Lord could then perform his second stage, you could say, of his Puri pastimes, to enter within. In the house of Kashi Mishra is interesting connection. That Kashi Mishra, he stayed in Kashi Mishra's house. There's that room there, Gabira, where Lord Chaitanya stayed, internally absorbed, mainly with the association of Sri Damodar and Ramananda Roy, relishing the internal moods of Vipalamba Bhav, etc. This is preaching to assist the Lord in his mission. It's not an activity unto itself necessarily. It's the mood of assisting the Lord in whatever his mission is. It may take different forms. Although practically the Yuga Dharma congregational chanting is to envelop everybody in the ocean of devotion. Every single person who sees, no matter what their reactions, who sees the Harinam Sankirtan is eternally benefited. Even if they see, depending a little bit on the degree of the devotion, but even then there's still tremendous benefit just seeing a devotee. no matter how lowly we may be, there is a benefit there. Especially if we're dressed in a dhoti or a sari with tilak and so on. The people, some or another, there's some link there, some picture is taken. Some picture is taken. And there are stories, the most famous one is from Moscow itself, and I'm not going to tell it, of the transformative effect of seeing, even in a negative way, the Harinam Sankirtan party. Even in a negative way. That can save one from the greatest danger. It's so powerful. That's why it's the Yuga Dharma. It's not just a bit of fun and games that we go out when we're forced to, or we like to do it or something. That's not the point. This is the Yuga Dharma. It's what we're meant to be doing. That's what this movement's meant for. To spread the holy name. You can do it through other means. But we have to do it. It's nice, spreading on internet, knowledge, everything. But we also have to practice what we preach. If we don't practice what we preach, then it's like half chicken philosophy practically. Both sides have to be there. But the execution of the Yuga Dharma, using the word execution in the positive way, not in the French way. Performance, let's put a more pleasing word. The performance of Harinam Sankirtan or congregational chanting is the Yuga Dharma, whether it's in the temple, in the home, on the street, or wherever we are, chanting the holy names is the Yuga Dharma. But actually preaching means to assist the Lord. That's what he's asking us to do. What is he asking? Priti viti ati ati nagaradi gram sabaka pachora hoibi moranam. Every town and village my holy name should be heard and chanted. I order every man, woman and child in the universe to spread this Krishna consciousness. Very nice if everyone, won't be anyone to spread it to if everyone in the universe. You can spread it to the trees and the birds and the beasts. It's the Lord Chaitanya's order. No. Whatever we think it is. Oh God, not again. I just want to stay back in the temple. Okay, wash a couple of pots, find a quiet spot, go to sleep. Avoid the guests when they come so I don't have to, associate with them and get, be challenged. Too challenging. No, we have to sit, even there, I just mentioned briefly off the cuff, so to speak. Just like yesterday, day before yesterday, I think, time flying. Shruti Kirti Prabhu was here, and a unique opportunity, probably the most unique in ISKCON, opportunity of associating with Srila Prabhupada here and now. And very inspiring association with a devotee of Srila Prabhupada. So what's the devotee of Srila Prabhupada? Devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Unique opportunity. But be conscious. Be conscious. How we can associate. It's not just by sitting in a class, hearing and forgetting about it. Or even remembering about it but not acting on it. You have to act on it. Srila Prabhupada, all these pure devotees are coming to show us what is this cultural revolution, or this, which Prabhupada talks about. It's changing our perception, how we see things. They come to show us how we can act in such a way that our perception will change. That instead of seeing ourselves in the center, we start to see Krishna in the center. They teach us, it's a step-by-step process. Tiny, tiny, tiny little things, and I'm sure everyone still remembers it very strongly. I hope it's a lesson you will never forget. When Sruti Kirti Prabhu, of course, he's not been here for 52 years. His wife has never been here. They wanted to take some pictures of the deities, talk a little bit about the deities before taking breakfast. Then they go outside. We go outside for breakfast, and practically speaking, everyone's already eating, and there's 2 preparations, nothing left whatsoever, and nobody has saved a plate for them. This is a clear sign we've heard nothing. We haven't really heard anything. We're just out for entertainment. We have to act on it and realize what it means to be a servant of a servant. Not just say it, but do it. First priority. First priority. Our first priority was fill our tank. Never mind, there's nothing left for our guests. So don't do that again. That was very, very, very embarrassing. Symptomatic where we may be learning a little philosophy, but it's a waste of time if we don't actually imbibe the basics of Vaishnava etiquette. It's like throwing seeds on cement and expecting, gardenias to grow. They won't. The seed is there, but if it's on a hard surface, they will not grow. You can water the cement till the cows come home, as we say, forevermore, but it will not do any good. The ground has to be prepared. That's why certain behaviors, Vaishnava etiquettes, are essential to prepare, to soften the ground so the seed of devotional service can grow. In this day and age, this is a bore. People hate it. Etiquettes. Yuck. I don't need to listen to anyone. It really irks me when we get on the trains, not just in France, everywhere in the world. Buses and trains. Puffed up young people don't care less. They just grab a seat as quick as they can and even push people out the way if they can. They have not been educated in any way whatsoever. All their learning is a disturbance. They haven't learned basic things of human. When I was a child, back a few years, it was practically illegal for a child to sit down and an elderly person to stand up. It depends how old the child is and what the situation of the child is. But in general, when I say child, I mean a child who is mature, in other words, old enough to be on their own. Teenager, maybe we can say. I remember clearly, it wasn't me, it was another boy. Whoop! He had a crack on the ear because he didn't get up because an old person in the bus was standing up. Dad gave him a good whack on the ear. Nowadays you can't do that, of course. You'll be in prison, even if you are the dad. There's no discipline, there's no understanding of human society. It's what Prabhupada said, first be conscious, then become Krishna conscious. Without these basic foundational understandings, it's very hard. Why? Because it's not pleasing to Krishna. It's not pleasing. Krishna wants to see us behave, at least in human ways. Simple, common sense, human ways. As I know, Sruti Kirti Prabhu said, it's your responsibility. Don't just leave. There's some garbage on the floor. Pick it up. You're supposed to be cleaning up, not making a mess. Clean the bathroom. If you make a mess, clean it. Even if you don't, someone else has done it. You clean if you can. This is the way that the knowledge becomes realized and not just theoretical. Krishna reveals the subject matter, becomes solid in one's consciousness. Anyway, Ramananda Roy was extraordinary. What was he extraordinary? What did Lord Chaitanya say he was extraordinary for? We mentioned he had no sex desire, but what specifically in terms of a demonstration of that fact? What was it he was doing? When Pradyumna Mishra came to see him, what was Ramananda Roy doing?
Massaging.
Sleeping, right, yes, sleeping. No, not sleeping. Maharaj, you keep quiet, you know too much. Sleeping, no. Eating, no. Playing chess? No. Oh, no, he was on the internet, that's right, he was on the internet. No. He was chatting with somebody on WhatsApp or Facebook or something. No, he wasn't doing that. What was he doing? It's almost embarrassing, isn't it?
He was massaging dancers, Matajis, isn't it? To prepare them for dancing.
He was massaging Matajis to prepare them. Prepare them for what? Well, yeah, I think you may have said it. You said it for dancing.
Dancing, yes. Right, for
dancing with him, right? Dancing with him?
No.
That's what we do. In the material world. Try to get the girls ready to dance with you. Is that what he was doing?
They weren't the Odissi dancers?
Yes, Devi dances. They were the dancers for Lord Jagannath. Young, beautiful young girls. And he's massaging them to prepare them. Just like, if you're a footballer, the coach may massage your legs, to get you ready to play the game or get you back in shape. Isn't it? He was getting it ready. Only for the pleasure of Jagannath. Can you imagine? Naked. Who could do that? Who can do that? Lord Chaitanya said, even I can't do that. You see a wooden form of a if it looks nice, you may get disturbed. A picture, you get disturbed. It's just a piece of paper and you get disturbed. Such is the nature of conditional life. You have to be very careful. But he was like that. So when he went there, Pradyumna Mishra was there and he was busy doing his service. And Pradyumna Mishra waited and waited. And then he came. And he said, I'm very sorry, I didn't know you were here, I was doing this, but please come back tomorrow because it was too late. When Pradyumna Mishra went back to Lord Chaitanya asked him, so did you hear topics about Krishna from Pradyumna Mishra? He said, explain what happened, and then Lord Chaitanya said that. No one but Ramananda Roy. This is the eligibility. The eligibility of one who can really speak, those in nirvita, those who have no material affection whatsoever. Very, very rare. Of course, each and every associate of the Lord, in one sense, is on this platform, but each one manifests a different aspect of Lord Chaitanya's mission. They're not all manifesting the same characteristics in such a degree. But it's there. Look at Haridas. He was also totally undisturbed by the Hirabai, like you hear by the prostitute sent by Ramchandra Khan. He was completely undisturbed. He was doing everything she could in the dead of night. Young, Haridas was a young man. Everything she could in the dead of night to entice him. In the middle of the forest, no one around. Can you imagine? Don't imagine. Don't go too far down that line. But there's no way. I mean, even on the street with 10,000 people around, you see a pretty girl, your mind can get disturbed. Yeah, well. Take a book. And she wasn't completely dressed, by the way. Of course, they're not completely dressed in Paris either.
Well,
Not in the summer anyway. But she was even less dressed. So, you know, you can imagine. These pure devotees are not disturbed. Their consciousness is, they're just seeing it as material, as energy, material. Krishna's energies in different forms and shapes belongs to Krishna. Incredible. So the next day he went, and of course he heard topics concerning Krishna from Ramananda Roy. High topics. As Lord Chaitanya requested, Ramananda Roy would speak. This is preaching, this is Sankirtan. Acting according to the will of the Lord, this is Sankirtan. Whatever that will is. And we receive or we understand what that will is, if we're listening, if we're hearing properly, from the pure devotees of the Lord. And they come into this world, both show, and we have a little common sense, or at least take direction from others if we don't have, like yesterday, Nitai. Are you here, Nitai? Oh yeah, there he is. Asking the question about sleep, huh? We have to have a little common sense as well. You know? We can't imitate as much. Prabhupada Prabhu said yesterday, we have to follow in the footsteps. We have to know what that means. Not to imitate what they do. Imitation is not. There is a room for imitation at a certain level, but we have to know what level and what degree. So we should at least learn that. What is the real principle? It's not a principle of sleeping less, but it's a principle of regulating and gradually by the natural process, not by force. I remember one time in London, one godbrother wanted, I don't know what reason, but they were from Europe. They were in London when Prabhupada was there. They were getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning and sitting outside of Prabhupada's room and chanting japa, fairly quietly. And there was nowhere really else where you could go, in one sense, to chant at that time of day, 2 o'clock in the morning. But they were doing that, and after a day or two, Prabhupada came out of his room, maybe at 2:30, said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm chanting japa, Prabhupada." Prabhupada said, "You're disturbing me, go back to bed." Interesting, huh? Obviously they had some other motive other than just, chanting. But Prabhupada was teaching a lesson, various lessons. And we don't imitate, Oh, I'm going to imitate Raghunath Das Goswami. We had a devotee in London who tried to do that. They were trying to chant 64. I saw them chanting in the cold shower sometimes, their japa. They would fall asleep during kirtan, jumping up and down. They actually fell asleep in the air one. They got so sick they ended up in hospital after a month of that. And he would go on Sankirtan as soon as class finished, come back at about 10 o'clock, look in the garbage bin to see if there was any leftovers of prasadam. Same thing at lunch. Sounds nice, huh? Very surrendered soul. But that wasn't what Prabhupada told us to do. It's a misunderstanding of following in the footsteps. We follow our immediate acharya in that sense, when possible. So like that, we sometimes, children imitate. Imitation of a good thing may have some value there, but only up to a certain point. You have to be careful about this imitation business. You have to find out what Krishna has given us and use that in Krishna's service. In Ishopanishad, Prabhupada says that most important thing is not to imitate others, but to act according to one's own position for Krishna's pleasure, as preached. We all have different conditions, whatever the cause, karmic or otherwise. We use that in Krishna's service. So they teach us, these great devotees. That's why there's so much variety there. Grihastas, Lord Chaitanya taught that Krishna consciousness, the main point of this, Arjuna Mishra and Ramananda Roy pastime, that anyone is eligible. Doesn't matter where your birth is, what your caste is, your past is, to be a pure devotee of the Lord if we follow the process. And one can thus become Jagat Guru, basically, teacher of all, by one's practical honesty, presenting Krishna consciousness according to one's position. One is a guru, a teacher. It's getting late. We are going to Saturday today. Harinam Sankirtan book distribution will go on. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra just happened yesterday. Now the next 8 days or whatever it is, this festival is going on. And today, maybe Rath Yatra in so many towns in India today. In India, the devotees, they have Rath Yatra on the actual week. They can't do it any other time, not like us here. It's almost maybe not a written law, but it's a law now in India that any Jagannath Rath Yatra has to take place between yesterday and the return Rath Yatra. Has to be within that period. So all the ISKCON Rath Yatras are within that period now. And that's about 200 or more Rath Yatras in India. A lot of Rath Yatras going on right now. Jagannath Rath Yatra ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Gaura Premanandi.
Purine Janananda Goswami Maharaj ki jai.
Is there anything you need, Bajrang Prabhu? Is anything